name is Shani Jones. I'm your resident certified sex coach, and you are listening to or watching DOYOU-KNKY, which stands for Do You Know the New Kinky Year. I am joined by Lisa and Sita, who are here to help us with our new series, Sex and Cannabis. I am your sex expert, they are your cannabis experts, and together we are going to come in this harmonious way to teach you about the ways that sex and cannabis go together, some things about the industry, as well as some things, practical things that you can take on this 4-part series. This is part 1, where we are going to talk about taboos. Now, as your resident certified sex coach, I want to let you know that I am with these ladies recording at the KNKY Sexual Health and Wellness Salon. This is where I work out of, where I meet with clients, and we've developed strategies and things like that, because I think sex is the best thing, or one of the best things that we can incorporate into having a healthy and positive life. So if you are looking for more information about me, as well as what it is that I do, please visit the website at doyouknky.com, and you'll be able to find out all kinds of information, as well as how to contact me if you're interested. I will pass this along to my co-host, Lisa, who will tell you a little bit about herself.
What's up, everybody? It's your favorite homegirl, GrowithLisa. I am so excited to be in the Kinky house. This is such an amazing space, and we want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to record in this amazing space. But I am your favorite home grower, because I am a home grower out of the Washington, D.C. market, and I advocate for home growers' rights across the nation. Right now, we're focusing on home grow in Maryland with Maryland Normal. So if you are in the state of Maryland, make sure you guys check out Maryland Normal so you guys can help us to legalize home grow in that state. And if you're everywhere, tuning in for everywhere around the world, make sure you guys follow GrowithLisa to stay up to date on the local and current laws that are forever changing, just like this sex and cannabis space. Yes. So that's my focus in the cannabis industry, is the growing and advocacy part. And we can't complete this discussion without our wonderful guests that we're joining us for this 4-part series on sex and cannabis. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Sita.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. Just a little bit about myself to start. I've been in the Maryland cannabis industry since about 2018, 2017. And 2017 is when I started making edibles in the DC pop-up scene, and then moved into the Maryland cannabis space. Starting up as a budtender, and then moving my way up pretty much all the ranks, eventually basically creating a position called the Cannabis Regimen Specialist, where I help people develop their daily cannabis routines, making adjustments as needed, when tolerance would change and things of that nature, and making adjustments for that.
Now, we also tried some of your stuff for the DC Growers Cup.
Yes.
Last year, man.
Yes, yes, it was. Yes, thanks. Thank you for coming. And you won. That's a joy. I did won. I won for first place for a category that was also new to the competition. Mm-hmm. So, and that was a personal care, right?
Yeah.
Topicals, personal
beauty, personal care, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Anyways, what I created was a CBD infused and turmeric infused body scrub.
Wow.
The lip balm doubles as an under eye and dark spot corrector.
You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I did tell you that. I definitely did. You probably missed it. I definitely did. So, but the CBD, all of it is anti-inflammatory. The ginger, the frankincense, all of it is anti-inflammatory. The frankincense is great because that has anti-aging and anti-wrinkle fighting properties.
Okay.
So, like I said, it's good for the under eye and dark spot. If you have hyperpigmentation, if you struggle with acne, things of that nature, people who have used it, including myself, have found much improvement in that area. So, we definitely have to keep that in mind for next time and let me know.
Yes.
The body scrub, which you both have tried, as you know, is pain relieving.
Yes.
All the essential oils within that, including the turmeric, is all anti-inflammatory. That is bergamot carbon-based is the scent for that.
And that's this, right?
Yeah, that is that right here. You can use this in the shower, 30 minutes, you can experience exfoliation, moisturization, stress relief, pain relief, and aromatherapy. So this is great for those who are busy, who don't have a lot of time to sneak in that self-care. This is a really good, quick way to do that.
Or it sounds like it's also good for people who are having enough sex.
Everything that you named as part of what your, I think that's the 25 patterns on my vibrator. So you have all these different, that's the equivalent of all the different ways that it can help.
Yes.
It's multifaceted.
Yes. The links between sex and cannabis, like we can go on that. We have a whole segment just on that.
Right.
Like alone by itself.
Exactly.
So,
but today we are talking about the taboo parts of the sex industry and the cannabis industry.
Yeah, we are. Bad sex, bad weed.
I know, horrible.
We're going
to there, talk about it.
Look, health's gonna be fun. Like it's gonna be great. It's gonna be fantastic.
But at the same time, the government's gonna make their money off of it.
Oh, absolutely.
This is true.
Absolutely.
But have you had any taboo experiences entering into this space? I mean, cannabis, let's also understand, cannabis, especially when it comes to the East Coast, I believe DC was one of the first to legalize money recreational level. So recreational means that I do not have to have a medical card in order, I don't have to register within the government system to get a medical card to go into a dispensary and purchase it. In DC, you can grow it on your own. So, and then you can consume it as an adult. It's not technically legal, but it's decriminalized, so you won't get arrested for it. So, that just happened in 2015. Yeah. We're just getting into 2022, which feels like 2021 because 2020 never happened.
This is true.
2021 happened. So we're like at 2021 and a half right now.
Yeah.
And people are still struggling to accept the fact that, people use cannabis and they are functioning adults. And,
Professionals.
Right, professionals. Obviously coming out as a cannabis expert and a sex expert as well wasn't easy. What type of, taboo series, situations did you find yourself in where you're like, well, I know you do it. So what is your problem?
Well, for me personally, so I started this sex coaching journey a few years back, right? I've been working for DC government forever. 2 decades plus. I really dedicated my adult career that way. And then I found through a series of fortunate events, that being a sex coach was actually a thing and was actually something that people did. And it felt like a very altruistic mission, to want to help people have better sex, as a very natural and inherent part of our lives that we got here doing, so why not make it an enjoyable experience? It has transitioned through history and over time, but, I was a victim of my own excitement at work, where I thought that I was doing
the Lord's work.
Well, you would say that, but it's almost as bad to talk about religion at work, especially in a government agency, as it is to talk about sex. And so what I did was what I thought was very innocent. I was in a fairly high executive management position, and we were doing something where I was trying to share. We'll have team members share things outside of work, so we kind of bond and get to know each other. It was during COVID, and we hadn't seen each other in a while, and so I thought, me being the intelligent person that I am, thought that I could give a disclaimer to my adult coworkers and say, hey, I would like to present something to you about something that is important to me and that I work on and I'm certified in. And when I did that, everything went over well. I gave people, you can leave, no repercussions, no anything. And then this was in August of 2020. Fast forward to March of 2021, and I have a sexual harassment claim against me. Now, mind you, I was very dumbfounded and shocked and hurt when this came up. And so I didn't understand it because I didn't even know it was a investigation just to find out that the government officials decided that what I've done, this presentation to talk about my business, was not sexual harassment. But the powers that be at the agency, it wasn't. It didn't meet the legal definition by any means. But the powers that be, because I was what is called an MSS employee, management supervisor services, I was let go. And so in one instance, sex, talking about sex, or even just acknowledging sex in public, especially, in just a conversational form. And I think about, having worked for DCW, we have the Department of Health that goes out and gives condoms away. You have agencies, the Department of DC Health, whose job it is to teach sexual health. Maybe I need to go work for an agency that where it makes sense to have those conversations, but depending on who your audience is, not everybody's as receiving, to hear it. And so sometimes it's a matter of knowing your environment, and it's also a matter of knowing what people you are around that can really embrace what it is that you are trying to give them, the knowledge that you are trying to impart on them. And so, what that does, it was a kick in my ass to say, hey, what you've been bullshitting about trying to get into this space, and maybe this is what you need. You've been talking about it, do something about it. Exactly. So I think that's how the universe works. Mercury in retrograde. I'm trying to mess up our stuff. I know about this stuff. So, boom, all of it. So yeah, I think that at the end of the day, when you follow your passion, when you follow your heart, that everything works out right.
Yes, it does.
Exactly.
Indeed it does. Indeed it does.
Let's see, you also have a story. Yours isn't as uplifting though.
I would consider it uplifting. And I also have a little interesting perspective to add as well. So I was born and raised Muslim. And in Islam, any use of drugs, alcohol is especially alcohol is what is considered, the term is najis or najasa in Arabic, and it's like extreme filth, and it's like equivalent to urine. Yeah, yes. So alcohol is really taboo in Islam, extremely. And cannabis, while not as taboo, it doesn't have that, it's not seen as dirty like alcohol is. However, because it alters the mind state, that is the part that is taboo in Islam. And I began using it. I'm actually a late bloomer. I started at 19, and found it really helped me with my chronic, extremely chronic, and severe anxiety and depression. But at the time, the kids were young. They were still in middle and elementary school, and it just wasn't appropriate, with me coming in the house smelling like it, bringing it in the house with me. Even though I wasn't smoking in the house, still was in the house with me. It just wasn't appropriate. So there was a lot of resistance with my family there, and it led to me getting picked up. But fast forward to now, they have witnessed the growth that I have since it's been in my life, despite the stereotypes of what they say about people who consume cannabis. They're lazy, they don't like to work, they're not ambitious, they'll just smoke weed all day.
Right, the slackers.
The slackers, exactly, the slackers stereotype. So, as a very glaring example of the opposite of that, they support me to the best of their ability. They don't fight or anything.
Right. They don't partake.
But
they don't shun either.
They don't shun. They I can bring it to family. Yeah. I've treated. I actually helped my sister's friend's mother. She passed last year in our office, and leading up her last days, she used cannabis as a means to, help ease her. Yes, right. So it's been very welcome. They all have given me the okay that if they get sick, I can. So it's definitely a good thing. But another perspective that I wanted to add to that was calling yourself a cannabis educator or calling yourself a cannabis expert, everyone's just like, everybody's a cannabis expert, everyone's a cannabis connoisseur, there's just like this, everyone's doing it mentality, but no one understands the exact depth of how deep the education
But there's chemistry in this, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Science. There's science.
Yes, science.
No, chemistry. There's science. There's science.
But it
as
is
a grower and somebody who knows, you guys have to know the industry and know how all of this stuff comes together. Right?
But it is a chemistry, like, between how the cannabinoids work with the system. That is chemistry. Right? And so it's not all outside the bounds at all. People just mostly know about different strains, and they basically know all the stuff that they see on leaflet. Not to say that leaflet isn't a good source of information, because it really is. It's just with regards to strains specifically, it's just not all-encompassing of all the variables that actually happen when you're growing, because you can have the same, you can have two seeds for the same strain, and if you grow it in two different places, like if you grow one in Maryland and you grow one in Texas, it's going to be a completely different thing. It's going to display different
nature versus nurture.
So
yeah, it's definitely all about your environment. Right. Environment. But I feel like a lot of the discrepancies that we do have with information is based on the legalities.
Yeah.
Because of the federal position of cannabis, the federal scheduling, of cannabis as a Schedule I drug, meaning one of the most dangerous substances that has no medical use and or benefits, which is kind of crazy that it's still scheduled as that, as we were coming to find out more and more of how it does have these healing properties to it. Yeah. So, but because it's at that Schedule I, there is technically there have been some programs that opened up, but legally under federal law, you're not allowed to get any grants or sponsorships in terms of research when it comes to the plant.
Do you know sex is something that doesn't get a whole lot of research?
No, it doesn't.
Research funding, I should say.
No, right. No.
Research funding.
No. And you know why? Not why, but there are a lot of Pandora's boxes in the sex industry, especially when it comes to the sex workers on the illicit market side. Well, I guess everything is pretty much illicit because nothing's legal. Now I know they talked to DC about legalizing sex work, which really is just, and what they're really talking about is the prostitution aspect of it. Because when it comes to sex work, there's a broad umbrella of like what you can do in that industry. Just like Shanae here, she's into sex, but she's a sex coach.
I'm a sex coach, not a sex worker. So
right.
It was actually my girlfriend sent me a post from another young lady. Because again, like the industry is also very small, and very intimate as far as people that are actually, committed to, like you said, everybody can consider themselves a cannabis expert, right? But until you actually start to do the work and do the work and know, it's the same thing as, being a sex coach. I have a sex-based business, but, when you think of a sex worker, you're thinking about somebody who is perhaps a streetwalker level prostitute or a high industry escort. You're also thinking about people that perform in pornographic or adult movies. There are also people that serve as body surrogates. And surrogacy is not legal everywhere, but basically what surrogacy is you hire somebody who will do body work with you. Right. So, as opposed to you learning from somebody who is, a prostitute, you are learning from somebody whose job is to teach you versus just to take your money and get you home. So you have to think about the legalities about how it is that your role interacts. But as a coach, my job is simply the same thing it would be if I was a financial coach or a life coach, which is another thing that pisses me off about work, because if my job was as a life coach or a finance coach, then there would have never been the opportunity to do a sexual harassment thing. But because it was about sex and there was that, to the left, then, and I realize this is right, but to the left, that's how you're left. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's things that are good for us. Cannabis, it can be, have very good health benefits for us. Mm-hmm. And then we talk about sex, there are good health benefits for us. But because they're so taboo as industries and as social constructs, as being something that as adults we should take and be able to enjoy, people shun them and shame them. And it's something that if you don't do it, then it's shame on you, which is why, it's primarily, at least to me, that's one of the reasons why it is influenced as being a taboo industry at all.
Well, and because of the negative propaganda that was put around the reefer madnesses of that,
marijuana, the term marijuana,
right? All of that, like, it's been drilled into our heads so much that even now, as a home grower, when I enter into different areas with my home grow, either where home grow may not be legal, or weed itself may not be legal, or when I first had the conversation with my family about what I did, it was just kind of like, like everything bad they ever heard about me just started coming at me like spitfire, and I'm like,
all the stereotypes, all the assumptions, yes,
and they treated it like it was crack or cocaine, and it's because of those negative stigmas, and those things can really, really weigh heavy in our communities, and affect us in negative ways. Because here we have these emerging and billion-dollar industries. Absolutely. And people are afraid to take that step forward because they've been so negatively stigmatized. Yep. So our job as experts is not only to teach our clients that come to us willing and open and wanting to receive this information, but to also try to advocate and help break those barriers and break down those stigmas around this taboo space that we're in. So what are ways that you ladies feel that you can infiltrate your community with this information and help really break down those stigmas? So when they do hear or find out that their teenager is smoking weed, how they can, change that response around from when they found out you did, or, when we're talking about sex in a, non-sexual environment, you know what I'm saying? How do we allow people to, I guess, feel a little bit more comfortable? What are ways that you guys can do that we feel that you guys, that you feel you can achieve that?
To have patience because it doesn't happen so much now. Like my family, pretty much, it is what it is. It is what it is. And they openly and willingly come to me for things. So, the non-practicing side. So, when those things come up, when they start getting accusatory about, like, oh, you're just a pothead, or oh, you're just a sex worker, or whatever, they try to, minimalize you too. Have patience. Like, what's the saying? God forgive them, for they know not what they do. Like, you know what I mean? So just have that patience and just, well, ask questions. What makes you feel this way? What experiences have you had? What personal experiences, not what have you heard? What personal experiences have you had that led you to feel the way you're feeling about this? And just really start to dig into that conversation. Like, really have the conversation. Actually have it. And then ask them, like, do you think that of me? Like, take cannabis out of it. Take the fact that, like, based on how I am, or like how I move, and where you know me to be, do you feel that way about me? Like, really just ask them questions. Make them think. It's the way we challenge that.
Yeah, I agree. Sex can be tricky though.
Yeah, it's a lot trickier than cannabis, right?
Cannabis is like weed, like it's an object, you have it, here it is. Either you want it or you don't, right? With sex, even like with your situation at work, they took your conversation as something else.
Yes.
So with sex, you have to kind of cautious in how you step in and have that conversation. So how do you achieve that?
You do. Have to be cautious, but I'm going to ask the question now so I don't forget it, but I want to circle back to it because in the same way, cannabis is legal. We're in the district, cannabis, recreational use of cannabis is legal. but depending on the job you have, even if you have a medical marijuana card, you can still not be allowed, you can still lose your job. So there, and this is why, again, we're talking about sex and cannabis, because they walk very parallel lines.
There are certain protections for
for what it is that you can and cannot get away with. And so, as again, it probably would have been a very different situation if I had been a different status at my job, if I'd been in a career employee versus a management supervisor employee. They had to go through a lot more. But what I found was that, the people that know me at the time knew about what it is that I did. It was not, you met me. So I'm not shy about talking about it. I try to be diligent and respectful of the situation. So I'm not just like, but again, you have to be smart. And let's say I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. But I don't think that, again, we talk about the universe, I'm put in a situation to bring me here, and that's exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
But the way that we want those, thank God for growth. The reason why we have to do that is, I think this is a journey in breaking those stigmas. We have to be able to have conviction and stand up for the things that we believe in. Because when we do that, it makes it a lot easier to have the conversations and to challenge those people that aren't easily able to have those conversations. Bring it out of them. Even if it's an argument, fight for it. If you don't agree, to tell me why. Why is it that you believe that sex should only be for procreation? It should only be between husband and wife. If those people are in their situation, they're in their house minding their business, what difference does it make to you? As long as they aren't breaking the law, or and even breaking the law, you got to be cautious, because sometimes it's worth the risk.
have fun, guys. It's a short life.
But as long as there's consent and there isn't anybody being hurt without their permission, I'm good with it. But it's really like communication and having these conversations. The more you hear about it, the more it gets normalized, the more it just becomes, you become numb to it, and it doesn't become such a fucking big deal.
Also, when you talk about it, people start to realize how much of themselves is out there. They're like, oh, I feel this way too.
Yeah.
There's a mirror. Mm-hmm. So when you start talking about it, you start mirroring. Right, exactly. And so without that ability to mirror, there won't be any progress.
Have you ever met somebody and then you found out that they smoke and you're like, oh, like it was like, right, it all makes sense now. It's like there's this,
and you feel much more to them on a deeper level.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So that's the thing. If those things that we think are just so, opposite, they bring us together. And I think that the more we do that, the more we have those conversations, at least be willing to listen and be open to hearing somebody. You don't have to do it. Whatever I'm into, you're not into, whatever that, it doesn't matter. Be true to yourself.
Right.
And be happy, and just encourage other people to be happy for themselves. And that's it that you have to do at the end of the day. But more conversations like these, I think is what will get us there, to keep breaking down those barriers. Yes.
I believe a big thing too, breaking the stigma is doing it within the community. I think a lot of people may look at trying to reach a larger audience is really necessary. But start in your community. Yeah, start with your home, your neighbors, your friends,
school.
Yeah, the local school, the kids in the neighborhood. I feel like one of my ways that I have able to really to really break down that stigma for myself was really looking in the mirror after I started growing hair. I was like, what else can I grow? To only realize, well, why am I not growing my own fruits and vegetables, and taking charge of my health in another way. Like if I'm so concerned about where my meat is grown, why am I not concerned about where anything else is grown? And I probably eat more food than I smoke weed. So
they go hand in hand too.
Well, I work in the food industry, so and I enjoy certain foods. So I'm definitely eating more than I am.
I'm smoking more than I'm having sex right now, so I mean,
hey, there's trade-offs.
True. Give and takes. But because of that, I in the times that I was approaching the community, trying to convince them about growing weed, it was a lot of pushback, and that was because of the negative stigmas that were surrounding my community, my immediate community, with the war on drugs. Families being torn apart because of the laws that were put in place that now people are making billions of dollars off of.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, guys, let's get involved. And they're like, no, it's in a lot of pushback. So, deciding to switch that over to a community grow project where we have a lot of green space in DC to grow gardens, even though it's a very small city. We do have some of the most.
You can grow weed in those green spaces?
No, you cannot grow weed. I'm talking about growing food. Okay. Not only did I live in a stigmatized neighborhood, I also lived in a food desert.
Okay.
Where the food insecurities were really great. They're to the point where there's only one grocery store in one ward serving about 50 to 70,000 residents. Whereas
Are you gonna say?
Yes.
Yes. We got to say it.
Exactly right. We got the same.
That's
Me too. Sam, girl. Right. Right. Welcome. Right. Welcome to the desert. Okay.
Oh my God.
But we have plethora of carry out.
Yeah.
We have a plethora of liquor stores.
Plenty.
Plethora.
Yeah.
So we can't, but also at the same time, we have to take control of ourselves.
Yes,
we have to recharge ourselves. We cannot
blame.
Right. We can't pass blame for our health and our shortcomings when there are things that we can do about it.
Yeah.
So starting the community grow project was something really important to me and my family, so that my kids can really see that, there's different things that you can do. And if you are presented with a problem in your community, you find a way to help solve that.
Absolutely.
So with the work, I was recognized at the National Cannabis Festival 2021 for the Community Game Changer Award. Shout out to everybody that helped nominate me for that, because that's a peer-nominated award strictly. Yeah. So there are ways you can do it in impacting, and again, you don't have to have sex with them or be a sex worker to convince them. You don't have to grow weed with them to convince them or educate them about the positive things that learning how to grow can impact your life. And you definitely don't have to smoke with them for them to learn or understand the health and medical properties of the plant. So you can do all of those wonderful things, help break the stigma, and that's what we're hoping to do with this series. This 4-part series. We were just breaking the ice with you all, getting y'all to know us and what we do in this space and how they are very similar to each other.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think we want to get to
They're the same. They're the same.
Yeah, very much the same.
Because if you want to, to break it down a little bit further, we are smoking, the flower that we're smoking is from the feminine plant, not from the masculine plant. So even cannabis has masculine and feminine. The flower that is
And you want to start something else.
Right.
That's for
Air gender fluidity.
a whole other
section.
no, they are hermaphrodites and all that. Yes, that's it.
Again, it's embarrassing. I'm trying to get it.
So, but I feel like we can deep dive into those properties of the plant.
Yes.
That can help
Continue our
us
series.
get off.
Yes.
Like Coming with Cannabis, which is going to be episode number 2.
Yes.
Following up, so you guys are tuned into Weed Wednesdays, Growing with the Industry. I am your favorite homegrown grower with Lisa. Make sure you guys like, follow, tune in, and subscribe on all my social media channels. Grow with Lisa, GRO1W, because I'm the number 1 favorite grower in your life. ITHLISA.
Yes. My name is Shani Jones, SHANI, and you are listening or following me on DOYOU KNKY. This will be available as a video and a podcast, so please listen out for both of those. You can follow me across all social media at the same thing, DOYOU KNKY, and if you add .com to that is my website, so you shall be able to find me. And I look forward to hearing from you.
And don't forget about our guests.
Yes, yes, guys. You can find me at Sweet's Elevated Eats. I'm currently in the middle of transition, but if you need to get in touch with me, you would like to learn more about cannabis or ways that you can use cannabis to improve your life experience in general, please hit me on Sweets Elevated Eats. That is SWEETSELEVATED That is a lot of words. Yes. It will be spelled out in the description under both these ladies' videos when they release it. I can also be emailed at sita.abdulmalik@gmail.com. That is sita.abdulmalik@gmail.com.
All right, we're going to take this smoke break and we will catch you guys